Good morning, friends. Welcome to the 2020 RTC Preschool Leadership Meeting. We're so excited that you could join us today. My name is Andrea Bartholomew. I'm the branch manager for school readiness in the Division of IDEA Implementation in Preschool in the Office of Special Education and Early Learning at the Kentucky Department of Education. A lot of words, a lot of letters, just to say that I help to support preschool programs in Kentucky. I'm joined by several amazing consultants in our branch. Each one of us has a specific RTC region that we cover, as well as a couple others that just support the general good of the school readiness branch. Keisha Oglesby, she helps out with the Callaway region. Brittany Sams with the Simpson region. Malika Williams with the Berea region. Jen Riley with the Ashland region. Myself, I cover the Anderson region. And then we have Stephanie Ernst and Becca Atkins to help support us with lots of other projects that we have going on. We're excited to be here. We're excited to help you. We're excited to serve the preschool kiddos of Kentucky. Things are a little bit different. We've been saying that for how long now? Since 2020, right? So we have to make some adjustments in our communication with our regions based on the spikes of the Delta virus. So we're not going to be able to be anywhere in person, and being online virtually at this time is a little bit tricky for us as well. We decided to record one message, one PowerPoint, and send that out and let you guys listen to that during your meeting. We'll also have access to it later on the preschool coordinator SharePoint site. And that doesn't mean that we're not here for you. That doesn't mean that we're not accessible. At the end of this PowerPoint, after it's over, you'll be given some information on how to schedule a Microsoft booking appointment. What that is you go to this website on Microsoft and you can schedule essentially a Teams meeting with myself or any of the consultants in your region to go over things, to talk about things, to really get with each other on the specifics of your questions, of your issues that you may have in your district. So we really want to take advantage of that. We have right now hour slots set up, but we can do less, so we can do a little bit more if needed. We can find ways to get together and work to help make our preschool programs as successful as they can be. So as I said, after this is over, the RTC leadership that you're with, they will provide you with information on how to schedule the booking and how to access this PowerPoint moving forward. So I saw this quote, 1,825 days. That's between the days children are born and the day they go to kindergarten. There's 1,825 days their brains are soaking up information. We know from research, we know from ourselves, what we've experienced, that kids learn more between 0 and 5 than they do any other time in life. Now, they may learn quadratic equations and physics when they get older, but right now they're learning the basics of those. Counting, numbers, measuring, shapes, forms. They're learning those things right now that will help them in the future. As a preschool teacher, as an early childhood environment, we get about 400 of those days. Even less if you think about having 170 so of instruction days within your program. We don't get very many. So we really have to make it count. We really need to make sure we are working with our kids intentionally, developmentally appropriate ways that help to increase their outcomes in life. For our agenda today, we're going to talk about some fun things and some not so fun things. First, we'll start with program accountability, talking about GMAP and determination. We'll talk about policy and procedure, including politicization, ECHRS update, and then hitting on some ratio class size issues. Then we'll move on to assessment and data, my favorite part of the show. I'm talking about our indicator reviews and indicator 12 specifically. And then we have some information about a really cool kids infographic. We'll move on to Infinite Campus, do a little bit about enrollment behavior data and some data standards. All right, so program accountability. If you are a new coordinator, do not fret. We're going to talk about a lot of things that you may have zero clue what they are. Part of this Microsoft booking will be able to help you get a handle on some of this, but also show you some resources that are out there to help. We're also planning a new GMAP training. Hopefully November we'll put it out, November, December we'll put it out. It's going to be kind of a guidebook, a manual. Here's step 1, step 2, step 3, and how we fill it out. So GMAP is, go back, the grant management application and planning system. I always get that wrong. A lot of our districts use it for things like Title I programming, all the titles actually, IDA, federal reporting. They use it differently. We just use it for monitoring. We use it for monitoring based on statute that an annual evaluation and grant allotment system has to be delivered. So we have to go through every year and approve your program for the next school year. Our goal is to improve funding or improve outcomes to also hopefully improve funding and to align how we provide funding to the support that your district may need. This will be going into our third year of GMAP, so that's exciting. Year two, same as year one, communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. There's lots of people who have their hands in GMAP. You as the coordinator, maybe one of your teachers or one of your admins that you've got on site, your finance officer, and your superintendent. It's really important everyone knows what's going on. When we have this training opportunity coming up November, December, we're really hoping to be able to expand that to our finance officers as well. So they can understand that the allocation doesn't change until January, that it's not meant to be a budgeting tool where the money counts down throughout the year like our title programs and our IDA programs. We just want to know that you have a budget and what you've budgeted for because we're approving your program that way. It's really different from all the other applications. Our application's one time a year, January. It reflects the current school year. So what's happening January this year will be January 2022. What's happening right now? Your teachers right now, class sizes right now, whenever you fill that out, that's what it is. It does not outline your plans for upcoming school years. It does not look at last year's school year. It's right now. That way we can look at that information and say, okay, this district has a great plan for what they're doing right now. It's working really well for them. We're going to approve their program to be supported in 2022-23 school year. I know it can be a little convoluted, it can be a little difficult to understand, but based on regulation and based on some things from the Office of Finance at the department, this is kind of how it has to roll. One big thing that we talk about with GMAP is this is not necessarily a compliance indicator, right? It's not necessarily something that we look at for compliance. So if you put into GMAP that you have a class size of 1 adult to 26 kids, we're going to approve that application because you put the information where it was needed to go. But we're going to take that ratio information and put it into our determination process, which we'll cover here in a few minutes. So GMAP just has to be complete. All the information has to be in, the budget has to be good, all the things you have to upload, foliation, your MOA, your child find information. If all of that's in there, we're going to approve that you have a program next year. Now, how that program functions, as far as if you need support with ratio or you need support with teacher certification, that will come in the determinations process. This is just the test site. This is a screenshot if you've never actually seen GMAP. Here it is. One note, the department cannot give you access to this. Your district has to give you access to this. So if you're brand new, you don't know what I'm talking about, schedule us a booking. We'll get together. Tasha Oglesby is our consultant that is the lead for the GMAP project. She will help you find out who in your district can give you access to this. All right, here's our timeline. We're preschool people. We love a picture schedule. So here's our timeline in picture form. January 1st when we open. We're open between January 1st and March 31st. A long time. Please try and get it done as early as possible. That way it gives us as much time as we need to go through things. And if we find issues or find corrections, it gives you more time to get that completed. 31st, it closes. That big arrow, this is really important. On March 31st, it's not just closing to you. It's closing to the finance officer and the superintendent. Everything has to be approved on the district's end by the close of business on March 31st. That's something that just kind of got lost a little bit in the first couple of years of this process. That's what we need to have done. So if you're getting it done on March 29th, your superintendent is not going to have time to approve it by the 31st. So make sure you plan accordingly. April 1st through May 30th, we review them at the department. And then we take the information, we approve them. We say, all right, your program is approved for next year. We take the information along with some other things and put them into our determinations process, which we'll cover in just a few minutes. All of those, we hope to be submitted in June. June 1st is always my deadline. We did not make it again this year. I do appreciate your patience with that. I mean, it's been not just for you all, but for us as well. It's been a trying year trying to get things turned around. So I do appreciate your patience, but always hope is June 1st, if not the month of June. And then July 1st, that first preschool allocation, that first quarter payment is sent out through the finance officer. So between April 1st and June 1st, we tell finance at the Department of Education, these are the districts that are approved to function next year. Everyone's getting their money. These districts are the ones that we need to support. And we do that support during the determinations process. A few quick tips for GMAP. Again, you have to be logged in. You have to check the application year. I believe we're in 2023 year, because that's the funding year that we're approving. When logging in, you have to move it from at the top to draft started. Let's see, can I go back here? Yeah, so right here, you see, not started. You have to take this to draft started. You have to change it. You click that there, it'll ask you what you want to do, and you change it to draft started. If you don't do that, you can't do anything. All right, so when you complete your section, you move it to draft complete, that same bar. That sends it to the next person in your approval sequence, which is your finance officer. I do the same thing, and it goes to the superintendent. Once the superintendent approves it, it comes to us at the department that says, so-and-so district has been approved by the superintendent. Again, all the information is from this year. We're in fiscal year 2023. Everything is from 21-22 school year. It helps us determine our funding processes. Your budget, please be descriptive, quantity, make sure they align. If you have salary for 5 people, put in there 5 people in their salary. If questions come up, we will review it and we'll talk about it. The vast majority of our preschool funds are spent on salary. We know that there's not a whole lot of extra out there. But if there are, please make sure that they align to the non-competitive matrix that is available on the Department of Education website, on the finance website. If you'd like to have that, please just email your RTC or your consultant and we'll get it to you. Actually, it may even be on our website, the preschool website. I'll make sure it's there as well. That tells you exactly what you can spend your money on. If you've got questions, ask. If we have questions, we will make sure we get in touch with you. One thing that we had some trouble with last year was the at-risk percentage. So according to our statute, at-risk is only defined as an income-eligible 4-year-old. So you remove students with disabilities, you remove students that are 3 years old because they're not defined at risk. Making sure that those kids are income-eligible only in that calculation. Child find information. So child find information, we get typically from everyone that newspaper clipping that's from special education that talks about, general supervision rules, how we find kids, that kind of stuff. And that's great. But we want to see more. We want to see announcements, some recruitment plans, brochures, flyers for screening. And if you have a budget that includes newspaper ads, we need to see those. Make sure that you're doing that correctly. It is important for us to see these things, especially now. Our enrollment is low again. We know that you guys are working as hard as you can to get kids in. The parents are really scared about sending, and I can't blame them, and you can't blame them. I mean, it's such a crazy world that we're living in right now that it's really tough for our parents to send their kiddos. But we need to make sure that we're all hitting it as hard as we can so that we can justify our child find and our recruitment processes to people like the Kentucky Board of Education and our legislative body. They want to know what we're doing, trying to increase our enrollment. They understand that it's an issue, but they also want to see that we're not just throwing our hands up and saying, well, it's COVID, we just can't do it. So this is a place that we can really put information that we can pull at the department to show, hey, here's what we're doing. This is also a place that we can find some exemplars and say, hey, District A, you're doing a great job with this screen. This brochure is really awesome. We put this on our website or put this on our SharePoint site so our other coordinators can pull it off and say, hey, let's look at this. This is awesome. That kind of stuff. We really want to make sure that we're all sharing those ideas together. Another part we had some issues with was the least restricted environment. That number is based on December 1 count. It includes 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Students that are 5 in kindergarten are no longer counted. If you are 50% or more special education, then you're a special education program. If you got questions about that, please hit up me or Jen Riley for any support needed for that. All right, so once GMAT is finished, we take the information from GMAT, like ratios, class size, your class days, how many days a week you're meeting, your hours, everything that's in regulation, teacher certification. We pull that into a determination at risk or risk assessment. So that risk assessment includes GMAT. It includes things like if we've had any complaints from parents or from other people about the district. It includes information from data from the indicator 12 information. It includes outcome data. It includes, typically it would include Brigance data or kindergarten screener data, but that's been really troublesome to get the last couple of years before. Things like that. We pull all that together and we look through it and we say, okay, if there's a regulation violation, like a teacher's not certified, if your ratio is 1 teacher to 26 kids, if you're not meeting the program design of 2.5 hours at least 4 or 5 days a week, those types of things, you will receive a did not meet requirement, and you will be placed under corrective action plan that we can work together to see if you corrected that problem, or we will work together throughout the next school year to help you get corrected. So the 3 levels of assistance: needs assistance, needs intervention, needs substantial intervention. So first year, if you've got an issue, your needs assistance. If that issue continues, your needs intervention. If that issue continues, I believe, for 2 more years, then you go into needs substantial intervention. In needs substantial intervention, that's where no one wants to be, because that is where your funding becomes your funding comes on the table as something we can use to withhold until you correct the problem. Again, no one wants to get there. We will work as hard as we can here, and I know you guys will work as hard as you can in districts to not get there. So if you receive a did not meet for needs assistance, you will be placed in that corrective action plan. Go back here real quick. So that corrective action plan, how that would work. So I'll give some examples from this year. We had a couple of districts that did not have appropriately certified teachers last year. They were found, did not meet, needs assistance. And then we had a clarification period of 10 business days. Those districts were able to say, yeah, we didn't have one last year, but we've hired appropriately certified teachers for this coming year. So we take that information, look at it, verify it, say, great, you're released from that corrective action plan. That's our goal, is to make sure that we are working together to get everyone released from that corrective action plan. We don't want to make life harder for you all. We want to make sure everyone is providing services within regulations. So KEDS infographic. The KEDS infographic is coming soon. I think I might have this in a wrong spot on the PowerPoint. It doesn't matter. We'll get to it here. The KEDS infographic is something that KEDS, which is Kentucky's Early Childhood Data System, and then some folks in the department, we've had some districts on there. They've worked together, in RTCs have participated, worked together to create kind of a one-pager situation for teachers and one for administrators on how to do KEDS, what this looks like, making sure that our information is entered correctly. That's something that's coming soon. We were really hoping to be able to release it to you all during these meetings, but as with everything at the department, it takes time to get through communications and legal and all of that rigmarole. So they are coming soon. Look forward to that. All right. Here is a QR code for a Padlet. The Padlet is available until October 1st. Everything is anonymous. I can't see who asked what questions or who yelled at me or who told me that my voice sounds funny today, whatever. Making sure that you have a place to ask your questions or put your comments. Feel free to use this as well as the bookings. If you're more comfortable with this method, that's fine. We try to go through these and create FAQs. We rarely get those out because typically there's one or two questions. We may try and answer those questions just through the RTC pipeline. So the more questions we have, the better chance that we'll actually get a chance to make an FAQ. This QR code is throughout this presentation. It's the exact same Padlet. So I'm going to move on. And if you didn't catch it now, you can catch it in another one. All right, let's take a deep breath. Unclench your jaw. Take your tongue off the top of your mouth. Breathe. That was a lot of information. GMAP and determinations are heavy. A lot of stuff, especially if you're new. If you're new, again, please don't flip out. Please don't fret. We will work through it together, and we will absolutely work together to make it as easy as possible for you all. A little bit policy and procedure here. Talk a little bit about Head Start full utilization, an update on ECHRS and All-Stars, and then some ratio class size things. All right, so full utilization. So full utilizations are due September 15th, depending on when you're hearing this message. It may already be passed for you, and that's okay. Each year, school districts and Head Start programs have to enter into an agreement to coordinate services for eligible preschool children. Head Starts and district programs are expected to work together to serve all eligible children in the area and to make sure all children receive any type of special education services or family services or medical services, anything that they need. They're expected to work together within their area. The certification form and the agreement must be completed and signed by both the district and the Head Start. This information used to be sent to the department through an email or through snail mail to Bill Buchanan and myself. That is no longer required. These will be uploaded into GMAP in January. However, they must be signed by the 15th. Head Start requires, in a typical year, they've had some waivers for this year, but in a typical year, Head Start requires that their full enrollment be submitted by September 1st. So these full utilization agreements ensure that Head Start is fully enrolled. We like to get them done by the 15th because of that. So when you upload into GMAP, we want you to upload the certification form and the MOA, the agreement. It says what you're going to do, when they're going to do it. Go back to that. That is something that last year we had some MOAs uploaded, some certification forms uploaded. We want both of those forms put into GMAP. We're going to be able, I think, through our GMAP system, put examples, or we'll send out some examples. In that training, we'll have examples showing you what the forms are. So you know exactly what you're looking for. They must be signed. They must be signed. We had some last year that just uploaded blank ones, uploaded the district signature without the Head Start without the district. Please make sure that everything is signed in there. This is something that you need to collaborate with your Head Start program to complete. I know there's some issues. I know there's some issues with numbers. I know there's some issues with services being provided, but at the end of the day, it's not about adult problems. It's about kids. It's about getting kids services that they need, working together to ensure that that happens. If you have issues with your Head Start, please reach out to me, and I will reach out to Amanda Flannery, who is the Head Start Collaboration Director at the Governor's Office of Early Childhood, GOEC. Excuse me. So we will try and get each other set up for meetings, for mediation type things, for conversations to help everyone come to the table together. So if you want to reach out to me or reach out to her, that's fine too. Hopefully we can get those things mended. All right, our favorite topic, All-Stars and ECHRS. So COVID kind of put a kibosh on the All-Stars process for us and for childcare. We know childcare is ramping theirs back up. They're going to start in October, hopefully going back out and re-rating people in childcare programs. We do not have that capacity at this time. We're still in the process of trying to create something new. Your current STAR level, still accurate. Don't worry about it. If you need new sites, they're unrated at this time. That's all we can do. ECHRS is a great tool, especially for new teachers learning how to set up a classroom. That's something that your district could still continue to use as an internal measure. However, we will not be requiring you to upload any type of ECHRS scores to the department or to your RTC at this time. Hopefully, we'll have something new to work on together as a group. I am really big on district input. I think it's really important to know how it impacts you as a district before we move forward on some things. Providing preschool services. So this and then ratio, class size thing are all kind of wrapped up into one. So you have to maintain a program. A developmentally appropriate half-day preschool program. Half-day is considered 2.5 hours for kids who are educational risk. That maximum group size is 20. So if you have 20 kids in classroom A and 20 kids in classroom B, and you have 10 kids coming through First Step, you're going to need to open your classroom. That can be tough for some of our people outside of preschool to understand, but 20 is the maximum. Now, we've all played the game, raise my hand, me included, where you have 24 kids on that roster and you kind of bank on not every kid showing up every day. Let's not do that. That's not what's best for kids. Let's try and make sure that we are serving them as well as we can, knowing that 20 is the max and there must be one adult per 10 children. Enrollment is at the discretion of parents. You have to establish and maintain active recruitment process. That is our regulation that states that if you have new kids, you have to enroll them. If it's May 20th and school closes on May 21st, when that kid crosses your threshold and says, I'm eligible, you need to start the process. Now, that kid probably will not enroll until next year, but you need to maintain that active recruitment process. Again, this can be difficult for folks outside of the preschool world to understand because typically K-12, everyone starts the first day of school. Now, you have some kids come in and out that move or whatever, but there's not influx of students like we have in preschool. All right, here's that Padlet again. Please make sure you are using it. Everything is anonymous. Assessment and data. This is my favorite. I am a data nerd. I love numbers. I hate math, but I love numbers. I love data and looking at things and seeing how we can make improvements. But you can't prove what you don't measure. That's something that it's me because I think there's a lot of ways that we can improve our preschool programs across the state, but we're not measuring the right stuff. I really want to make sure that we're getting at the heart of what we need to measure when thinking about assessment and data. Talk a little bit about our indicators, indicator 12 process that's coming up that's new, and then some data and assessment practices. All right. So we have 3 contributions to the SPP APR, which is the State Performance Plan Annual Performance Report. This report is what tells the Office of Special Education Programs, or OSEP, how Kentucky is doing as a state in regards to special education. It's like 12 years running, maybe more. We've met requirements, which is great. Awesome. We want to keep it that way. These are our contributions. I believe there are 14 indicators total. And then you have the SSIP, the State Systemic Improvement Plan, that comes in there as well. So indicator 6, this is one that we do really well on as a state. This is serving our children in inclusive settings. They're not served in a separate class or separate school or residential facility unless that child needs that environment. Best for that kid. Knowing that it's the data that shows that it's best for that kid. Not one teacher, not the ARC, not necessarily the parent. It is what is best for that kid based on data. Most of our kids receive their services in inclusive settings. Kentucky is a shining star across the country when it comes to inclusive programming. Anytime I'm out at national conferences or on phone calls with national folks, Kentucky is often used as an example for inclusive programming. A lot of other states serve their 619 or their special ed kids for preschool in this building and everybody else in this building. And that's not what we do in Kentucky. We know that our kids learn better together. And that's through research, that's through our own anecdotal notes. We know that when our kids are together, they learn from each other. So kudos to us for that. Indicator 7 is our outcomes. This is the information that's through KEDS, through your assessment that you do on your kids 3 times a year. These are not as good as 6 is, but we're still doing okay. We're getting close to target reaching. We're getting there. And I do feel that there's a lot of data errors that really impact this information. There are 3 outcomes. Positive social emotional skills is A. You can see from here that we meet for A1 and A2, the summary statements for A1 and A2. So A1 are kids that come in and make improvements, and A2 are kids that come in and then they exit at age level. So we're getting there, right? We're having kids that make improvement. And just remember, these are only students with disabilities. This does not include at-risk kiddos. These are just kids with disabilities. Again, I think there are some data quality issues within this information here. But please remember that KEDS does have a wealth of information for you. They have data reports. They can get you student-specific information. Your assessment. I speak about Teaching Strategies Gold because that's the one that I know. So I know that TS Gold can give you copious amounts of information on your kiddos once you put that information in your classroom. So please be using that to help to drive your instruction. The next category is acquisition of knowledge and skills. This is more of our cognitive piece, our academics, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. We do okay. Again, we're getting there on some of these things. We've met targets on these. I would like to see more than, less than half of our kids are meeting age expectation when they leave us. I'd like to have that target a little bit higher. I think we can do a little bit better than that. And the last one is appropriate behaviors to meet needs is your adaptive skills. We do meet these as well. But when you think about it, only having less than half of our kids at age level when they leave us is a little bit low. But still, this is where data quality comes in, making sure that what you enter into your assessment is correct, making sure the information that you provide KEDS on that verification tool is correct, making sure all of the SSID numbers are where they need to be. We did a big push on that a couple years ago, and it made a huge difference. You guys really rose to the challenge and understood what we needed to happen, and it really made a difference. So that's something that we want to continue to push forward with. Indicator 12 is transition from C to B. We have this because of general supervision, effective transition. It is the percentage of kids who are referred prior to age 3 who are found eligible. We have the data sources, state monitoring, state data system. Ours is that spreadsheet, or not spreadsheet anymore. It's a survey now, the preschool performance report that you complete by June 30th. OSET expects 100% compliance. Typically, we're at 99 with a handful of kids, if that have missed transition across the state. Last year, we were at 90% due to COVID. Things shut down, right? And last year being the 19-20 school year. Information for the 2021 school year has just been compiled. I'll get to that in a minute. But that 90% was for the 2019-2020 school year. We know the world collapsed and it was really hard. But this is a federally mandated indicator. And the only way to change this is for an act of Congress to change the IDEA. That did not happen. That will not happen. And they did not provide us with any relief for this. It was something that was put up by the former Secretary of Education as a, hey, can we do this, as a suggestion, but it was not voted on. It was not accepted. So this year's data is between July 1 and June 30th. And it doesn't look great. Just to let you know, it's about 89, 88%. Again, COVID, huge issue. It's hard to meet with kids when you can't find them because First Steps is closed or your point of entry is having delays. And I get it. And we understand that. But again, our hands are tied a little bit because we have to provide answers beyond, it's just COVID, to the federal government. We have to provide how we are assessing it, how we are figuring out the root cause of some of these issues. How this helps or how this happens and helps us, though, is having a system for First Steps tracking. Now, you get a list from me. Hang on. I'll go through that in a minute. Hold up. So First Steps tracking is really, really important. You get a list, the Part C list that comes, used to come in the mail. Now it comes on the SharePoint site. Again, if you're brand new and you do not have access to that, let us know. Becca Atkins holds the controls for that. Only the preschool coordinator has access to that list on SharePoint. We cannot allow anyone else, but one person in the district to have access because that list contains so much PII and personally identifiable information. We have to protect that. The only way we were able to get it online was to promise our Office of Education Technology that one person would have access to it. And that one person is the preschool coordinator. We ask the preschool coordinators to print off the list and hand it to their DOS or to whomever needs to have it in their district, knowing that you will follow your own rules for protecting PII. So you have to have a tracking step. And where I used to be, we had a spreadsheet that we would mark the kids off of that we knew. You have to maintain a conversation with your First Steps primary service coordinators, your First Steps providers, your point of entry. You've got to talk to those people and make sure that they're telling you who's coming. The list is not intended to be the end all be all because the list may or may not include all students. That Part C list is the information is given to us by First Steps, but parents can say, I opt out of that. I don't want my kid's name floating around on the list somewhere. Don't put them on there, but they're still transition. So they may not even be on the list. Or by the time they get put on the list from First Steps, they may have already transitioned. We've seen that a couple of times with some of our later transitions. So that list is not intended to be the only time you're notified about these kids. If you're having problems with that, if you are struggling with that, please let me know. There's not a whole lot that I can do. Obviously, they're not employed by the Department of Education, but I can pass those concerns along on to Paula Goff, who is the Part C coordinator, and she does very well with talking. We talk all the time. She does very well with meeting those questions and concerns with ideas on how to make things better, or she'll talk to the point of entry or to the coordinator, things like that. So please maintain those relationships. Some places I know have meetings once a month or once every couple months with their coordinators. When they see them for one meeting, they go through the list of the kids who are coming up. Having that information is really important. Now for Indicator 12 reporting, what you need is the total number of transitions for your district. So from July 1 to June 30th, say you had 100 kids that transitioned. Big district, 100 kids transitioned. Each kid goes in an area, goes in qualified by third, D and Q, district delay. Here's where we get the most reporting errors. Found eligible for Part C less than 90 days before third birthday. So you have your total, and then you put kid in each box. What we find a lot of is qualified by third birthday will have 100, will have 50, say, and found eligible will also have 50, less than 90, will have 50. That's not how that works. That kid gets in one spot. So if the kid qualified by third birthday and they were referred to you 120 days, they go there. If the kid was found eligible less than 90 days, you don't put them in that top. You put them in less than 90 days. That way they're only counted once. That can be a little confusing, I understand. Because first off, yeah, they qualified. But if they were less than 90 days, they go in that category instead of qualified. Because it says they were found eligible, they still qualified. It was just less than 90 days. I know that's a little confusing. I cannot see anyone, but I'm sure There's some few confused looks on faces. Schedule of bookings with me and with Jen Riley. We can talk about it. So here's something that we've put out a couple different times now. This is a reminder to make sure kids that are referred to Part C less than 40 days before their third birthday are not considered a transition. So per IDEA, that kid must be participating and have an IFSP to be considered a transition. So if that kiddo is referred to First Steps 30 days before they turn 3, and First Step says, okay, we're just going to refer you to the school system, at that point, they become a 60-day timeline kid. You don't have to be held to the third birthday requirement because they've not been served through the Part C program besides the transition. But hey, go over there and see those people. They'll help you out. Now, I don't recommend that you delay 60 days on these kiddos because obviously there's something going on. But legally, you would have that 60-day requirement. They have to be provided services to be considered a transition. All right, our new monitoring system. So, excuse me. So, transition from C to B is a compliance indicator. And because it's a compliance indicator, we have to monitor to make sure that everyone is on the up and up. So, this is how this will work. DIMR, which is the Division of IDA Monitoring and Results, they are the group that will be responsible for this. We will give them data, we will provide them information, but that's who will be responsible for these plans. If a district reports less than 100% compliance, they're issued a corrective action plan. This coming year, that will be a lot because we're at 87% compliance across the state. So there's going to be several of you that receive that corrective action plan sometime between now and the spring. I'm not sure. We've had some changes at staff at the DIMR group, and so they're trying to figure out how it's all going to work moving forward with this monitoring system. You will be provided to update information, to provide them with information, to give them access to records and things like that. Of the districts that report 100% compliance, 10% of those are chosen for desk audit. So that means that even though you reported 100%, you could be part of that 10% random number that received the desk audit to make sure that everything is on the up and up. This is new. This is not something we've done before. There's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be a lot of me explaining to DIMR how preschool is different, how transitions are different, how infant campus is different for us. And that's okay. I'm going to try my best to make sure they understand how the transition process works and how we're able to meet the needs of our kiddos despite having less than 100% compliance. As information is created for this monitoring system, we will definitely be passing that along. Again, another chance to do the Padlet. Infinite Campus, enrollment, behavior data, and data standards. All right, so please review the information that's sent out before the count, and that will come from me or from Tasha Oglesby this year, and depending on when we send it out, usually in October, we'll send out a big old stack of stuff. Here's how you do this. Please follow that information. It's vital that we follow that to make sure every kid is counted correctly. We want every kid to be counted correctly. A lot of errors on the count, duplicate preschool tabs. Your kid needs one tab. So if you have a 3-year-old who's rolled over to a 4-year-old, you may know this, but your IC clerk may not, and they may have created them another tab thinking they were being super helpful. They were trying to be, they just don't know. That tab is editable. So that 3-year-old that rolls over to that 4-year-old, you just edit that tab to be current information. Right now, I believe we have 50-some of those errors popping up on our end. We give time to get them cleaned up, but Tasha will be starting to contact districts in October, offering help and assistance on getting those cleaned up. The other thing is disabilities on the IEP. There is a process to locking things in Infant Campus and pulling things over from the evaluation. Make sure that that disability is showing on the IEP. That will kick them off of the count. And then incorrect grade, that's a big one. Again, we have a lot of folks that do a lot of hands in Infinite Campus. So sometimes your IC clerks or your attendance clerk may tweak information thinking they're being helpful and really they've not. They don't understand the process. So making sure that 97, 98, and 99 are the only reportable age grades for preschool. So 3 on or before August 1st. I'm sorry, 3 on or after August 1st. Those are typically your first step kiddos. Those 97s, those kiddos that come in off the street, that they just moved into the district and they've got a disability. 97s for those little ones. 98 is for after August 1st, and 99 is for on or before August 1st. If your kiddo turned 5 before August 1st, they should go to kindergarten. 96 is something that we see a lot. That is not a reportable grade, so those kids do not pull on count. Some districts will use a 96 grade as a holding spot. So if a kid is in RTI that's not coming into the classroom, if it's the first step transition piece, they hold them in that grade, make sure that it gets updated when they're found eligible. We found that a lot. That is 96 is not a reportable grade. All right, behavior incidences in Infinite Campus. This is something we've been talking about for a while. Preschool students misbehave every day. We know they're learning how to go to school. They're learning how to follow directions. They're learning how to follow directions from people they don't know. I used to tell my parents, so if you've not seen me in person, if you've not met me in person, I have very curly hair. And so I used to tell my parents in my classroom, I'd be like, listen, your kid's not going to like coming to school for the first couple of weeks because this crazy haired blonde lady's up here telling them what to do. Or they don't know what to do with that. That is a skill to learn how to take direction from someone you don't know, how to respect that. That's something we have to teach our kiddos. So for Infinite Campus behavior entry, we're not looking for that daily stuff. We're not looking for those where you have to correct their behavior, where you have to reinforce it a different way, where you have to, plan their day a little differently. We're not looking for that stuff. We're looking for the extreme behaviors, the room clears, the tossing tables, the danger to self and others, the weapons, those types of things. And if you've not been in preschool very long, yes, our kids have been known to bring weapons to school. Yes, our kids can toss tables and toss chairs and be a real danger to self and others. This is something that can be really hard for folks who may have been in a classroom for a while or may have not been around preschool. Our kids show extreme behaviors just as much as their K-12 counterparts do. It's just harder to think about because they're little. And we don't want to label them, and we don't want to put this on their record, and we don't want this to be something that follows them. And I understand that, I do. But I also know that if we don't put this in a record, as they move on, they're not going to get the support that they need. The purpose of entering these incidences into Infinite Campus is to provide data so we can provide support for that child and that family. I mean, especially now, our kids are coming in with boatloads of trauma, backpacks of trauma, if you will. I mean, it's something that they're coming in already sparring for a fight at 7 o'clock in the morning because maybe they didn't sleep because mom and dad were fighting, they haven't had breakfast, they're tired, they're mad, they don't know how to express those emotions. We're not born knowing how to control our big emotions. And that's something that we work on in preschool. And these kiddos need every ounce of support we can give them. They need every facet, every avenue that we can find for them. And that includes reporting it. We had been in conversation with some districts and with some Infinite Campus folks, trying to figure out if we could soften some of the language in Infinite Campus for preschool kids, knowing that knowing that assault means assault, but knowing that it's really hard to put a 3-year-old assaulted someone in Infinite Campus. But so we're working on that. But right now, it's really important to put that information in. Again, this is not everyday misbehavior. This is not the one-off stuff. This is stuff that you enter into Infinite Campus and you look at it at the end of the month and go, every day at 11:30, Johnny pops off and throws a chair. What is that about? It's that record keeping that we all have as teachers and administrators in our back file cabinet. It's putting it somewhere that's accessible to everyone. So when Johnny moves on to kindergarten, that kindergarten teacher and that counselor can look at his record in Infinite Campus and say, oh, Johnny needs support at 11:30. So first day of school, someone's there to support Johnny at 11:30. It doesn't take a month and a half of Johnny being disruptive and being kicked out of school at 11:30 for help to be provided. We can start on day one of that transition period. This is something that I feel very strongly about, making sure that our kids get what they need and their families. And we have a lot of resources now with different types of mental health in our schools that our families need to take advantage of. I think it's something that we really need to focus on. So we will hopefully be providing some information about that in the coming months. But for now, just make sure you're entering it in. Make sure you're putting it in there, those extreme behaviors, and make sure you're looking at that data and finding those patterns so we can get our kids the support they need. So data standards that we've got are all on the KDE website. The data standard goes through and tells you what needs to go where and why we collect it. There's a lot of them. The Kentucky Student Information System, or the CASES system, the large collection. There's preschool and preschool special education, as well as regular K-12 special education on that website. There's lots of defined rules. We'll be providing some additional information in the manual for our enrollment count stuff, but this is where you can find a lot of great information on data entry. All right, questions again on the Padlet. All right, another deep breath. It is a privilege to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. I love this quote. Of course, as you can see, I love quotes. This helps me to see that it is a privilege. It's a privilege to be here with you all in spirit. It is a privilege for me to be able to be a part of the early childhood family across Kentucky. I'm incredibly proud to be an early childhood educator. I'm incredibly proud to work with you all to support our youngest students in Kentucky. I don't think there's a better place to be than early childhood education in our state. There's a lot of changes that have happened over the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of things that are coming down the pike. Please take care of yourselves. Remember that it's a privilege to be here, a privilege to think, to enjoy, to love. Please take care of yourselves. You cannot pour from an empty bucket. I know that's much easier said than done. Take a break, take a walk, drink your water, get some fresh air, refocus your mind on serving our kids. Our North Star has always been and will always be the students of Kentucky. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you listening today to this recording. And the information will be provided to you about the Microsoft booking. And we hope to get lots of appointments scheduled so we can touch base with everyone and make sure we are doing the best we can do from the department to serve you. Have a great day. Thanks so much.